Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and on the third day be raised. I don't think the disciples could even hear that last part. What? Be killed? That's impossible that the Messiah would be killed. And so Peter tries to talk some sense into the Lord. And it says, verse 22, Peter took Jesus aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you." And why couldn't this happen to Jesus? Because he was the offspring of Abraham who came to possess the gates of the enemy. You came to storm the gates of Rome, not to be hung on one of their crosses. You came to conquer them as king, not to be crucified as a criminal. I mean, put yourself in their place. This is baffling to them. You are Yeshua, the greater Joshua. Verse 23, but Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man." Wow. So that seems pretty harsh. Calling your most ambitious, most loyal companion Satan? So question, and this is important. Why does Jesus call Peter Satan? Why not just correct the mistake? Or not? Just say, you'll figure it out in a couple weeks. Why does he call him Satan here? And here's why. Because it was very intentional. In calling him Satan, because he rebuked Jesus about going to the cross, Jesus was not so much insulting Peter as he was exposing the true enemy that he came to conquer. Not Caesar yet, but Satan. See, Peter wasn't rebuked because his ambition was too grand and his vision too lofty and his desires too carnal. Rather, he was rebuked because his vision was too small for what the Messiah came to do. Yes, he knew that Jesus meant to save them, but he had a small, man-sized view of what Messiah came to accomplish for his people. The bullseye was not set on Rome, because he was a far better Savior who came to possess the gates, possess the rebel-held dominion of a far more wicked and a far more formidable enemy. Namely, he came for the dark ruler behind every pagan king. He had come for the prince of darkness himself, Satan. And if Peter would have known his Torah a little better, Peter would have known this. And that's because the offspring of Abraham who came to possess the gates of the enemy was also the seed of the woman. And when the seed of the woman would show up, his primary agenda was to crush the head of the seed of the serpent and to dethrone and to defang the dragon, who had been allowed as usurper a temporary reign for the first epoch of the world, but now that was about to come to an end. There was coming a cosmic changing of the guard, as it were. And that's why Jesus says in John 12:31, "Now is the judgment of this world. Now will the ruler of this world be cast out." And that's why Christ had to go to the cross. That was the weapon that would finally destroy our greatest enemy. Because on the cross, the two most powerful weapons that Satan uses to torment and oppress and enslave mankind, Christ ripped from his hands and rendered them totally useless. And those two satanic weapons were this: the power of sin and the fear of death.